94.3 The Game, WRHD HD1, Farmville, Greenville. Powered by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers. Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com. It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. The Great P-Man here with you. It is the Hump Day edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. All downhill from here as we get to the weekend and start to put it in hyper gear after the program today. It's nice to have you with us. We got a great guest today. We'll tell you about that in a second. First, we say hello to the voice of the Tarboro River Bandits. Dom Kasolki will be on the update desk today and also producing the show. Also behind the scenes producing the inimitable Clark Willis, who's been hard at work slaving over a hot editing bay all afternoon. So hello to those guys. We'll hear from them because we're going to do a little Hold My Beer today, or in Dom's case, Hold My Juice Box /soda/milk.
You serious, Clark?
I am. And we've got a great guest coming up for you today. We'll be joined in a little bit by Stephen Igoe of Hoist the Colors, 247 Sports, and the Stephen Igoe Show, which will return in August 14th to be exact, here on 94.3 The Game. I'm sure we'll hear more from Stephen coming up in the ensuing weeks leading up to his program here and on Talk of the Town. And we're going to have a media day program, I'm sure. That'll probably be around mid-August, too. So I'm hoping Stephen will be involved in that. I know he's got other obligations that day with his website, but would be good to have him on that day. That was a great show last year. We had Coach Houston for an extended interview, talked to different players, a couple assistant coaches. That is unfortunately the couple days. Actually, it was that night I started to feel bad, and I had COVID all that next week. Don't think I got it at the event. But because I started to feel bad that night, I'd worried I'd made everyone else sick. But everybody was okay by all accounts. But that was a year ago. And a lot has happened for the station and the company in this time, including the brand new IBX Media app. You can download that at the App Store or Google Play. And you can take our stations for IBX Media with you. It's the IBX Media app. Just search IBX Media, commercial free. There's no pre-roll commercials or commercials that interrupt the feed or anything like that at any point. We've got video, we've got audio, got live streaming of video and audio. We've also got archival programs, all of the podcast and video podcasts of many of our fantastic shows, including this one right here. All right, so we're going to talk with Stephen Igoe coming up about ECU Media Day, Pirate football in general, and Pirate athletics in general. A lot to get to here in the next segment of the show. First segment, I wanted to start with some things going on today with NIL. It's kind of gotten interesting in some respects. 2 days of NIL meetings concluding today in Indianapolis at NCAA headquarters, and it comes without any kind of announcement of a new policy to govern the NIL space as it's being put now by these brilliant writers. Linda Teeler, who is the chair of the NCAA Division I Council, telling our friends at On3 that in an email telling them they will not be able to release a new policy today, nor an official summary of the meetings. Now, those meetings included industry leaders, as well as an undisclosed number of student athletes. Meetings featured a 5-hour working session today, according to different reports out there. And this week's policy served as kind of the next step in what is a really slow and could be described maybe as an incremental. I decided to describe it as slow process towards drafting new policy. The announcement of the new proposal was not expected to be made this week. NIL working group has been tasked with drafting an updated proposal, essentially a plan B, in case the NCAA's pursuit of a long-sought federal reform bill falls short. My prediction and my understanding is it is going to. The NCAA Division I Council received an update on the subcommittee's work during meetings attended by President Charlie Baker. And he will be holding those meetings tomorrow and Friday in Indianapolis. The purpose of this week's meeting, though, is to solicit feedback from a broader audience of industry experts. Just reading from the article here, drafting an updated NIL policy does not reflect an NCAA strategy pivot. Rather, the association will operate on two parallel tracks, pursuing a new policy as it continues to aggressively lobby federal lawmakers for legislation. The last thing I think you need involved in anything with athletics, be it on the state level, be it on the national level with the NCAA, is have government involved. Now, there's some things that could be improved, say both in the NCAA and closer to home, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association? Absolutely. And maybe the threat of government intervention in some form will bring about those changes, but it sounds like the NCAA is wanting that to be the case. It was interesting because at ACC Media Days, which has turned into 4 days of just absolute fun in Charlotte, the Pitt Panthers head coach Pat Narduzzi took the stage today. And Narduzzi's a guy who's fairly honest, fairly outspoken, does like to speak his mind. And when it comes to all of this with college athletics the last couple of years, Narduzzi was asked what kind of changes he would like to see with name, image, and likeness rules. And he said he would like to see relegation of the lucrative NIL market. He said he'd like to see something resembling a salary cap that exists in certain professional sports like the NFL. He said he'd like to kind of have a lid put on it. I think this is a quote. I think the most important thing, there's got to be a limit on it. I think everybody wants to play under the same rules, and in the National Football League, they have a salary cap. I think you'd want to have some type of salary cap where this is what you're allowed to spend. Some schools have that automatically. Some leagues have that automatically because they can't afford but so much. So that's the deal there. Really interesting, though, that you're starting to hear that kind of cry. Mac Brown at the Dooley kickoff last Friday talked about making sure there's an even playing field. You're going to have the highest spending 12 teams get into the playoff every year. Jim Phillips, who's an interesting character, the commissioner of the ACC, yesterday spoke on the NIL. He also had some other comments that we pulled for you today, but the NIL and the battle cry of the Atlantic Coast Conference, who, by the way, is the third conference as far as revenue goes. Now, yeah, they're way behind the SEC and the Big Ten, but they are third. 30-some million a year per institution, and there's just a lot of belly aching coming out of Charlotte. Jim Phillips says the NIL can be detrimental to athletics. Play that cut.
The recent unprecedented transfers of student athletes are tainted by inducements disguised as NIL money. Too many student athletes enter the transfer portal based on rumor or bad advice, only to find they have no place to go. It's the ultimate game of musical chairs. This is detrimental to their education and future. Must stop. We can assist student athletes by providing as much transparency as possible regarding NIL.
So again, the ACC feels like they are at a competitive disadvantage because their money is not the level of the Big Ten and the SEC, and their NIL is not at the level of the Big Ten or SEC. So you've got the conferences, the coaches, and the conferences calling for the NCAA to do something. And you have the NCAA holding kabuki theater, essentially, with these meetings, although they're done behind closed doors, and nothing is out of them as far as any kind of look that this was constructed, because the NCAA is all attorneys. That's all that works there in Indianapolis. Everybody that works on staff is an attorney. And so they don't do anything without what would the legal ramifications be? What is the spin? What is the PR with all of this? So you've got the NCAA, a bunch of attorneys hoping the feds will bail them out with legislation. Jim Phillips also talked about the situation at Northwestern. They've made a coaching change there because of hazing, severe hazing allegations within that program. And that coaching change has been sudden. They've got an interim in place now. So, Dom, cue up cut 4, and let's go with that where Jim Phillips addresses the situation at Northwestern. And the reason he's addressing it, because he was the AD at the time of that goings-on.
Before I close, and unrelated to the ACC, I do want to briefly address the ongoing matter at Northwestern, as I'm sure some of you have questions. As you are aware, I released a statement last week. This is a very difficult time for the Northwestern community, and my heart goes out to any person who carries the burden of mistreatment or who has been harmed in any way. During my 30-year career in college athletics, my highest priority has always been the health and safety of all student athletes. As you know, with this matter in litigation, I'm unable to share anything more at this time.
All right, so much said there, a lot of words, not a whole lot that he could say at this time because there is ongoing litigation. All right, so thought that was all interesting, kind of tied in together what the NCAA has been up to as far as NIL, what coaches are saying as far as NIL, and what the commissioner of the ACC, who's got some of his own side controversies going, said about name, image, and likeness. We'll get Stephen Igoe on this and other things, all ECU, in just a little bit, talk about Media Day yesterday. The continued thing that still is kind of the talk is the storm off by Coach Biff, the Charlotte coach. Coming up later in the week, Bobby Rosinski is going to be back with us, our friend with ESPN Radio out there in Charlotte, and does some 49er commentary. He's been covering ACC Media Days. He's been covering the Panthers as they're in camp at Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Doug Martin's going to be back with us this year as kind of a Friday football analyst. And we're going to talk to him on Friday also about his experience as the offensive coordinator with the New Orleans team in the USFL this past year, and just some things with football, and maybe get sort of his updated take on the NIL. Brett Friedlander and Brian Mull tomorrow. So a stacked lineup and a huge guest today here. Stephen Igoe will be in the house. We'll catch up with him here in just a moment. But before we go to break, remind you, this is the eve of our concert on the Common. Hydrate up if you're going to go tomorrow. They got food trucks. They got beer trucks. And it is the Legacy Motown Review. This has twice been rained out, but will be taking place tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Greenville Town Common in the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater. Showtime of 6. The beer starts flowing and the food starts getting served about 5:30. Food trucks, the adult beverages, as we mentioned, vendors and more. Pets are welcome. Might want to leave them at home, though, because it's going to be pretty warm, pretty hot, actually. No coolers, no glass containers. It is our concert on the Common coming your way tomorrow. A break, and when we return, Stephen Igoe as we talk AAC Media Day and the ECU Pirates.
Every Monday during the NFL season, get the latest on the Carolina Panthers as Jim Szoke from the Panthers Radio Network joins the P-Man.
Bring on the good stuff, universe.
This and every Monday right here on 94.3 The Game, the flagship station for the ECU Pirates.
Have you had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center wants to keep you healthy. Dr. Goldstein provides treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181. Appointments are always available within 5 business days.
Hi, this is Dr. Philip Goldstein reminding you that a colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website, cddgastro.com, and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
Are you one of the 40,000 North Carolinians who has your health insurance with Friday Health Plans? As of August 31st, they are shutting down and your policy will be canceled. If you don't take action soon, you will be without any health insurance. You might be stressed, but at Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, we make it easy. Call one of our trusted risk advisors at 252-495-8956 or find us online and we will make the transition from Friday Health Plans as simple as possible for you. Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Do you want to save money on your prescription medications? How would you like unlimited prescription refills for as little as $1 a day? Health VO RX subscription plans is a home delivery subscription service. For about $1 a day, you can choose from up to 1,000 different generic prescriptions, and we'll send your 90-day prescriptions for about $1 a day with convenient free home delivery. We have most of the top generic prescription medications. Get your meds to treat erectile dysfunction, birth control, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. Call us right now. We'll coordinate getting your prescriptions with your doctor. Plus, we're cheaper than your copays and get the convenience of free home delivery. Call right now to get your medications delivered for free for about $1 a day.
800-336-5980. 800-336-5980. 800-336-5980. That's 800-336-5980.
Pirate fans, the East Carolina football season is just around the corner, and there's no better time than to guarantee your seat to see the Birmingham Bowl champs at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Season ticket packages are as low as $115 in the fan zone. Pirate Club chairback seats can be purchased for $325. The 6-game home slate kicks off September the 9th against the Marshall Thundering Herd. Get your season tickets today by calling 1-800-DIAL-ECU or go to ECUPirates.com.
It's easy for a kid struggling with mental health to shut down and keep the hurt inside, especially if they're told feeling sad is just being dramatic and worrying is all in their head. Let's help our children and teens open up. Let's show them that they've got people on their side and resources to help them feel better. Let's show them that we hear them, we see them, and we're open to care. Visit ncdhhs.gov/open to care to learn more.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
You know, I didn't realize that Stephen Igoe had the abs he had. And when we do our promotional artwork for the show that we put on social media and all that, sometimes even I'm surprised. Usually we take photos and blend it in, but I'm told today Igoe decided, hey, I'll come in. I'll do a photo spread for you guys, and I'll just open up the shirt. Won't go shirtless. Want to keep it classy, but I'll just open up the shirt a little bit. So I appreciate that. Let's check in with Stephen Igoe now from Hoist the Colors at 247 Sports. He is wearing a shirt. Sorry, ladies. The great Stephen Igoe is with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Hey, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me, Patrick. I can guarantee you that I definitely have more of the dad bod going these days, especially with 2 kids under 2. Don't have too much time for crunches anymore. Back in my college days, I looked not anything like that, but at least closer to it than I do now. But hey, I appreciate the kind Photoshop.
I think you were doing a lot of 12-ounce curls potentially, and as an undergrad. That's just, but I was too. So I mean, I can't blame you on that. Yeah. Good to see you, Igoe. Stephen and I did the Playfly kickoff event show about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, July 13th, I believe.
Yeah, back on the about 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks ago tomorrow. So that was a good time. We had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Got a lot of great reviews from it. A lot of folks listened. They were pining for live content. They were pining for Stephen Igoe. And now they've got him here with us for a segment or two on the Patrick Johnson Show. I just might turn it over to him because the alarm came early this morning. Yes.
I'm fully enjoying my 2-month break between hosting shows. We return August 14th, Hoist the Colors, and as much as I would love to take over as host, Patrick, I'm going to leave that to you. I'll do the analyst role. I'll take the Ken role. You can be Barbie today and be the lead, and I'll just chill in the background.
I needed some pink today. I went with a different floral instead of pink today. So let me ask you this, Stephen. Media Day was yesterday. It had a distinctly different flavor. I actually thought it was a really well done event that the AAC put on, and they have been really good about getting ESPN involved. And my friend Rini Ngolia that does commentary on ESPN as an analyst involved. So that really gives it a big-time feel, and I think that is one thing that I could credit the American for doing. I'm going to be honest with you. I was actually surprised the media contingent was as good as it was yesterday. I thought it was going to be – I mean, it wasn't packed by any stretch. Plenty of seats were available, but it was not as sparse as I thought at times it would be. And it seemed like that there was media there participating in it, so that's a good thing as well. But what were your takeaways just overall from the event and anything that stood out with a team player or just a general theme?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you do have to credit the American because I feel like they do a tremendous job trying to push the narrative of being a power conference. And honestly, you could compare the Americans Media Day to the Sun Belt and other leagues out there, and it's going to blow it away from a presentation standpoint. Mike Oresco has a television executive background, so he knows how to execute that phase of things. And, I do wish it was closer. They did it up in Rhode Island for a number of years, and ECU media was able to attend somewhat, but still not really regional. But this is what you get when you have a really national conference. So I don't think we had a single local media person there, to my knowledge, across the spectrum, just because financially it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to fly across the country to interview, a coach and players we're going to interview next week when camp opens. So, but I enjoyed watching on TV. I thought for me that I enjoyed Trent Dilfer because he's got a media background, and he basically said, look, I know I'm going to face criticism as a first-time head coach, as a non-traditional path to becoming a head coach, as now the leader of UAB's football team. And, of course, Biff Poggi had the interesting walk off the podium. And then I saw today, I didn't even realize it, the South Florida coach also made a similar statement, Alex Golas. He's in his first year as the head coach in Tampa. And he basically said, look, only 2 questions today. Hopefully next year we'll get a little more media attention. But I think even Tulane, which is the reigning conference champion, Willie Fritz only got two questions. So at some point, you just got to understand it is what it is. Mike Houston only got 3 questions. Like, there's just not a whole lot of media outside of Texas and local media that's going to be there. So the coaches got to understand that.
Yeah, and I think, again, some of that is playing up the card there. We'll get Dom to pull the South Florida stuff maybe, or try to get that and maybe have that tomorrow or Friday. I do want to play the Biff Poggi walk-off because it's just so precious. By the way, I said it yesterday on this show. I said it this morning on Talk of the Town. I'll say it to you, Igoe. Poggi is the guy who has the $1 million house in the small southern town, and when he's asked, what do you do for a living, he says sales. That's what he looks like. That's what he looks like to me. And I'll say this also about Biff. His suit was either very inexpensive or very expensive. There's no in-between on that. That suit either cost a lot or cost very little that he was wearing.
From what I've heard, he is absolutely loaded. He legitimately he's got a financial background, and I think he's put some of his own money into the NIL deal or some of the facilities in Charlotte. So like that maybe honestly is the reason he got the job there. But he has he's got a lot of cash.
All right, here we go. Biff Poggi, who could buy me and sell me repeatedly.
That's it? 3 questions? Maybe that's because you have us ranked last. That's all what you think of us. So we get that message. Thank you.
He's out.
I don't blame him for playing it up, man. And honestly, I kind of enjoy the fact he doesn't care. Like, hey, I'm Biff Poggi. I'm gonna embrace being picked last. I'm gonna embrace being Biff. And just seems to kind of not care what anybody thinks. I enjoy it.
It created probably one of the most talked about moments out of that yesterday.
Oh, for sure. And if you're Charlotte, and I'm sure he understands it too, to a degree, but if you're Charlotte football, you got no history. Realistically, you have no fans that, from obviously they got fans, but no real fan base. They're essentially rebooting their roster. I think they've got like 50-something new players. They went 2-3 wins last year. They're joining a new league. They might be, and they probably will be better than some people expect. But if you're a media member, why would you pick them anything but last or next to last? Like, you have to do an honest job. Like, I picked ECU 5th. I cover ECU. I'm not going to pick them to win the conference championship just because I cover ECU. You got to do a fair job, and picking them towards the bottom is the right call until they prove otherwise. It's just the way it should be.
So Stephen Igoe's with us today here on the Patrick Johnson Show. The preseason poll came out. Charlotte picked last, South Florida 13th, 14 teams. Wow, that's crazy to see. Tulane picked first, Texas San Antonio behind them. Tulane was the overwhelming favorite to finish first. Then you had SMU. Memphis, who I'm not 100% sold on. I think there's still – that's basically Hennigan is why they're picked so high. And I think he's fantastic, but I think there's a lot of questions in Memphis, and there's a lot of questions of their coach. And then Florida Atlantic, East Carolina, and North Texas. So that's kind of the upper part. You got UAB in there as well. I think those are the 8 teams that will occupy in some way, shape, or form those spots when the wash is done in November. May not be that exact order, but I think a lot of those teams we just named will be in that top 8. Do you agree?
I do. I think there's like kind of looking at Rice. I picked them towards the bottom, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rice ends up having a better year than some people expect because they quietly have a lot of experience returning. Their coach has been there a while. They're just another program that has not taken that step yet, but I think the rest are fair. You've got a lot of first-time head coaches towards the bottom. FAU is the big kind of mystery to me because, traditionally you're in Florida, you're going to get talent. Tom Herman, we know, can win in the American. He did it at Houston. And I was watching his press conference. He is very confident, or at least seemingly selling that he's very confident in what they have and what they have returning. A lot of people question, hey, why they picked ahead of ECU? They've got, I think, 17, 18 returning starters. ECU's got to go on the road to FAU. They got to go on the road to UTSA. So, I feel like ECU, from a schedule perspective, you look at the teams picked towards the top, the only one they don't play is Memphis, whereas you look at SMU, I think they miss UTSA and one of those other top teams. So, the unbalanced schedule is a problem for me, Patrick, because, 14 teams is a lot. So, you're going to have a lot of unbalanced schedules from year to year. ECU, I think, kind of draws the unfavorable schedule this year, having to go to UTSA, having to play Tulane, having to play SMU, having to play FAU. So they're going to have to earn it if they want to contend towards the top of this league, at least on paper.
We've got Stephen Igoe with us here. Pirates 6th, is that, middle of the pack, is that fair in your mind? I know you said you picked them 5th.
Yeah, I think middle of the pack is fair because, I think you look at those – you mentioned Seth Hennigan with Memphis. For me – I think I had SMU 3rd ahead of Memphis, but the only reason was because SMU's easier schedule. I like teams with returning quarterbacks because you know what you're getting. So, obviously, Michael Pratt at Tulane, Frank Harris, who is in his 7th year at Texas San Antonio. I picked those 2 teams at the top. I actually picked UTSA to win the league. I think Tulane's going to have a big target on their back this year, and it's going to be tough to repeat. But I think ECU kind of little bit below those teams to start with is fair. Now, we all know the story. If ECU gets good quarterback play, I think this roster is as good as Mike Houston has had. And if that ends up transpiring by conference play, this is a team that I truly believe can compete for a conference championship. But until we see it on the field, it's an unknown. And it's something that I've watched scrimmages closely. I think the talent is there, but I have not seen the consistency yet from the quarterback position to where I feel comfortable picking ECU at the very top of this league.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Although when we interviewed Mason Garcia 2 weeks ago, I thought he carried himself well, and he looks fit. He's slimmed down a little bit.
Yeah, y'all should have put him as the Ken for the profile graphic because he honestly, he looks. He's always been jacked, but he looks like now more cut now. I mean, he looks the part, and yeah, I mean, physically he has always had all the tools. It's just he's got to go out there and get experience. You know, I remember watching Holton early in his tenure under Mike Houston, and honestly, early Holton Ahlers, what I saw from scrimmages, he was very up and down. Obviously, that went into games. You know, Mason has been the same way from what I've seen at times. So, like, I feel like they're kind of in a similar point. And then when Holton got that experience, he grew from it, and Mason's just got to go get that experience. You know, it's a shame he's got to get it at Michigan against Marshall and
right.
at, but I mean, at least you'll know what you have pretty early.
Who did you pick last?
I think I'll have to go back and look, but I do think I had Charlotte last. And
if
it was either
Poji's not
Charlotte
like
or
that.
USF. Yeah,
That's
Poji's, he's probably listening right
that's
now.
That's it, Poji. Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
Charlotte, but
afraid. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Do you think
somebody's got to
how
go
soon? Somebody. Yeah, you can't have everybody. That's the thing when they talk about all these super conferences. They're going to have 20 teams. We're going to add and get up to 6. I mean, they all realize. I hope if you're going to the SEC, you're going to the Big Ten. Somebody's got to lose games. Somebody's going to finish last. Not everybody. It's not going to be 8-8 or like in the NFL, the NFC East. I mean, it's going to be. You're going to have a lot of coaches get fired when all of this ends up with these mega conferences because somebody's got to lose games.
That's the thing is, man, like Texas and Oklahoma, especially Texas, has struggled in the Big 12, and now they're going to go to the SEC, and clearly they're going to get more resources, and they're going to get more.
They're not going to win games, though.
Yeah, you got to go on the road and beat LSU and Alabama and Auburn. Like I just don't see that happening. So it's great from a financial perspective, and maybe it'll turn into NFL 2.0, whatever. But at the same time, you're right. Like somebody's going to be down there at the bottom, and it's not just going to be Vanderbilt. Somebody is going to join the Commodores. Like you look at Missouri, they've had their random years, but Missouri went from the Big 12 to the SEC. I'm sure it's cool being in the SEC, but what fun is it really? Just kind of like your greatest achievement is going 7-5. It's just it's got to be difficult.
And you really don't have any rivalry stuff to draw on either. I mean, it's a big deal, I guess, whenever Alabama or LSU or Georgia come to town. But you don't have – I mean, what do you have to draw on in anything? And, I mean, that's a lot of right now, I think, Pirates are having to face that a little bit because the scheduling thing in the non-conference, which, let's face it, ECU has hung its hat on kind of a signature non-con game at home over the years. That it's tougher to do now. It's tougher to do. How do you, before we go to break here, how do you see the non-conference schedule eventually kind of shaking out?
Like long term?
Yeah, long term. What happens?
I think it's going more towards the model of kind of what we've seen, where ECU's got to schedule, especially if they're going to stay in the American, which through I think 27, if not longer, the American TV contract is really good, so they're going to be in the American for the foreseeable future. So I think it's even long. I think it's actually through 2030 or something like that. But either way,
I think so.
I think you're going to have to schedule regionally, non-conference-wise for the most part, because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to play in this league where you're going to Texas, going to New Orleans, going to Florida all the time, and then go to Boise State. I know that game's coming up, but that's kind of an outlier. I don't have a problem with them scheduling ODU. I don't have a problem with them scheduling Marshall or even Liberty. You just have to try and find that balance. You do want that marquee game if possible. Wake Forest is coming up in a couple of years. West Virginia's on the slate. BYU's on the slate. You want to try and keep those games. It's getting harder and harder too, because those teams don't want to go on the road because they know they're going to lose. You look at the last two times, even though ECU has lost to South Carolina and NC State in those last two marquee non-conference games, they should have won both games.
Right,
and
down to the wire.
On the road, it's not it's not going to be the same game more times than not. So find a way is John Gilbert's biggest challenge right now. And sometimes you got to find a way to, whether it be using political pressure or just finding the right time. That's the biggest challenge. But I think you're going to see a lot of ODU, Marshall, App. Honestly, I love the ECU App series. I think it has a chance to turn into a robbery. I'm not a big fan of ECU Charlotte. Maybe that'll grow on me over time, but I love the Apps fan base. I think it meshes well with ECU's. So, like, to me, when ECU plays Charlotte, I don't know any Charlotte fans personally. Maybe one, but outside of that, I know a ton of App fans. So we'll see.
That's it.
That's it. Just one. That's all I go know.
Sorry,
just
Biff.
one, Biff. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. All right. The great Stephen Igoe is here. We're going to do Hold My Beer in our next segment. Igoe, that's kind of what grinds your gears. You'll be a first-time contestant on Hold My Beer. Clark will have one. You never know what he's going to say. Dom will have one. But for Dom, because he's not of age, it's Hold My Soda for Dom. So it'll do a Hold My Soda for Dom. And I've got an excellent. I've had my Hold My Beer in the chamber since July 4th week. It's a long time to hold on to this.
Yeah, so you got to deliver. I'm feeling the pressure of I want to make it somewhat ECU related. So I feel like I've got a pretty good one, but we'll see.
Okay, but it could be anything. That's the other.
Yeah,
that's the other rules with Hold My. It could be anything. Doesn't have to be sports.
Right.
It can be. Doesn't have to be ECU. It can be. Be whatever you want it to be. So
I'll do some thinking during the break. See if we make an audible.
There you go. You'll have some time. Not only do you have time during the break, you have time during Dom's sports update. Our Pirate Report with Dom Kasulki right now, and we'll come back with Hold My Beer.
I'm Dom Kasulki with your 94th Read the Game Sports Update and Pirate Report. ECU football head coach Mike Houston took the podium yesterday for the AAC Media Day. He had this to say about the defense for this upcoming season.
On the defensive side of the ball, Julius Wood, I don't know how he didn't make all-conference last year. I think he's one of the best safeties in the league. He's had a great off-season. Just really excited about he and Teagan returning there at the safety position. And in our defensive front, we return virtually everybody up front, and it's a solid bunch. They've all been playing for 3 years. I talk about them as a group because that's kind of how we view them, and they're all just solid core players.
We also got to hear from some ECU players. Here's our starting tight end Shane Calhoun on replacing longtime ECU quarterback Holton Ahlers.
Two of the guys that we have, Alex Flynn and Mason Garcia, they're both great quarterbacks, and it's going to be a challenge going to camp to see who's going to be the guy. But we're excited about both of them, and whoever it is, start preseason camp to start September 2nd. We're ready for them.
Shane, other than you, who are some guys that can get the ball from those QBs that we can expect to see this year?
Jalen Johnson, Coach Hughes just mentioned him. He's a guy that is very dynamic in the pass game. I think Brock Spalding, Jari Patterson, two other guys that are going to be very crucial to our season this year.
The American Conference welcomes 6 new institutions to the circuit in July: Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA. Charlotte was picked dead last in the preseason poll, according to the media, something new 49er head coach Biff Poggi didn't take too kindly to.
That's it? 3 questions? Maybe that's because you have us ranked last. That's all what you think of us. So we get that message. Thank you.
Panthers training camp is underway. Carolina's veterans reported to camp yesterday at Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The Athletic is reporting that guard Chandler Zavala is expected to miss a couple weeks with a hamstring injury. The rookie 4th-round pick was placed on the PUP list to open in camp. In other team news, Carolina worked out of a group of veterans that included cornerbacks Anthony Averett and Kyron Brown, defensive tackle Khalil Davis, and wide receiver Javon Wims on Tuesday. The Hurricanes are bringing back a fan favorite. Tony D'Angelo agreed to a 1-year, $1.675 million deal to return to Raleigh. The defensive man netted 10 goals and notched 41 assists in 64 games when he played for Carolina during the 2021-22 season. He also had 10 points in 14 playoff games that season. The Canes traded D'Angelo to the Philadelphia Flyers last summer for a 4th-round pick and immediately signed a 2-year, $10 million contract. Philly bought out the final year of his deal after the 27-year-old posted 11 goals and 31 assists just last season. For the 5th time in program history, East Carolina has been named an Intercollegiate Women's Lacrosse Coaches Association Honor Squad, the organization announced Wednesday. Additionally, 5 members of East Carolina's 2023 lacrosse team have been named to the IWLCA Academic Honor Roll for Division I. The Pirates are one of 287 teams across all divisions to earn this distinction and have now done so in all seasons in program history. The East Carolina baseball team has received the American Baseball Coaches Association Team Academic Excellence Award for the 8th straight year. And that'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Update. This sports update is brought to you by Team Boneyard, an NIL initiative directly supporting Pirate student-athletes. For info on how to join, please visit teamboneyard.org. More of the Patrick Johnson Show on the other side of this quick timeout right here on 94.3 The Game.
Hey, what are you doing? Two pros and a cup of Joe. Dan Patrick, Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe and the Patrick Johnson Show.
This is perfect. Why didn't I think of this before?
We have you covered with all things sports. More of the P-Man coming up next on 94.3 The Game.
Looking to get engaged? Now is the time during Bailey's Fine Jewelry's spectacular Engagement Ring Blowout. Hurry in because this once-a-year event ends this Saturday. An expansive selection of engagement rings, loose diamonds, mountings, and wedding bands. Up to 60% off in Raleigh, Cary, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Engagement rings near cost, at cost, even below cost. Bailey's Engagement Ring Blowout ends Saturday. Visit BaileyBots.com.
Greeting friends of Eastern North Carolina. If you're looking for a great place to work with competitive pay and a multitude of advanced opportunities, Pitt County Schools is hiring. We employ over 3,500 people, and we're one of the largest employers in Pitt County. We are currently seeking teachers, bus drivers, school nutrition personnel, facilities staff, custodians, clerical staff, and more. We offer advanced leadership opportunities to our educators and competitive pay for our skilled labor force. If you want to be part of a thriving school system that focuses on educating students, growing our employees, and promoting positive mental and physical health habits, we encourage you to become a part of our Pitt County Schools family to help ensure success for the future of Eastern North Carolina. To fill out an application, visit our website today at pittschools.org. That's pittschools.org. And remember, education is truly a team effort. Pitt County Schools. Live and lead.
I'm in the studio with my friend Sproul Alexander, who is the Senior Vice President for Town Insurance. And Sproul, people keep coming to Town Insurance. Tell us why.
Henry, it's really simple. It's because of our insurance knowledge, our product choices, our ability to service our clients, and our community involvement.
That's true. We see Town Insurance everywhere. But now let's talk about the choices. What kind of choices are there? What kind of insurance do you handle for people?
Our choices are endless. No matter what kind of insurance that you may need, we can handle it for you.
And we're talking about business, we're talking about health insurance, we're talking about home and auto, the whole gamut.
Yes, sir.
All right, so folks, come to Town. That's Town Insurance. And tell us the telephone number they can reach you.
252-756-8300.
And the website?
Towninsurance.com, Town with an E.
Got to put that E on the Town. Folks, now is the time to come to Town. Town Insurance.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Do you have something you need to get off your chest? Get off your chest.
I am not here for rage. I'm here for revenge.
Did your favorite team blow another game?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Or is there just something that's driving you crazy?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to let it all out.
You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
With another edition of Hold My Beer.
Hold my beer.
First time we've done this in a bit. Hold my beer.
I don't hear him.
Patrick Johnson. That is Clark. That is Dom there as well. We've got Stephen Igoe. We're going to do a little Hold My Beer. I'm going to go first. Stephen's first time doing this. Maybe his last after today. Who knows? He might want no more part of anything to do with this show. So, Hold My Beer, it's kind of a what grinds your gears segment. It could be anything. So for the first time since August of last year, we went to the beach in late June and for the July 4th week. It was there about 10 days. And it was nice to get away and have a little vacation. And the beaches were packed. They were full of shabumis. They were full of people jamming on their portable speakers they take with them with their phones. You had coolers. You had games being played. You had the kids playing in the sand and in the ocean. They have beautiful turquoise clear water now down at the Working Man's Beach, Surf City. So it's just, what a time. And I've noticed something going on here because it seems like, did you ever go camping? Any of you ever go camping as a kid? Did you ever go camping as a kid?
Not a lot.
Okay. But you did go. I never went. I would be more of a glamper. But Igoe did go. It strikes me, Dom, I don't think you probably did. You're from the Triangle, so I doubt, or Wilmington one.
Well,
so I doubt you went.
There's such thing as beach camping, for one, so you don't have to put too much disrespect.
Right.
But I did some camping in the woods as well. I did some Cub Scouts until I was like 14 or 15, so that was pretty fun.
All right. Clark strikes me as a guy who went camping, and may still. I bet Clark's woke up in the woods before. That would be my.
Whoa,
if I had to guess,
what do you mean
I would
woke
say
up
Clark
in the
did
woods?
that. So
I thought we weren't going to talk about that anymore.
You take so much stuff to the beach, it's like you're going on a camping trip.
That's right.
And now we've reached the point at the beach where, with the accessories, people are bringing accessories with them to the beach. So this is part of my hold my beer. Don't bring your dogs to the beach. I love dogs. I'm a dog.
You serious, Clark?
Don't make the dog an accessory and bring it to the beach because it's hot on that sand and they don't like the ocean water. It would make them sick if they ingest it. I mean, I saw a guy out there with a ukulele and a moo-moo, and he wasn't that big. A schmuck. He had a schmuck on and was playing the ukulele with his dog. Google it, Dom. It's just.
Man, I have too many buttons to press. All these things you got me playing.
It's just ridiculous. So don't accessorize the beach. Keep it simple. I realize we're gone from the days of a towel and a sub sandwich, but let's keep it simple at least. All right, Stephen Igoe's with us today. What's your hold my beer, Igoe? Hold my beer, you say, and then you go on.
All right, hold my beer. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about NIL and talk about transfer portal. I think we all know tampering goes on today in college athletics. And you guys may have covered the story where Mike Houston essentially has submitted a team to the NCAA for tampering. Yeah. And I've got on pretty good authority what happened here. Not going to call out any team names, Florida. But it's so easy now to recruit kids.
Go Gator.
Behind the scenes, call their parent, call a teammate, call their high school coach, whatever. Well, a particular team just so happened to not even care, just drop right into the DMs of a significant East Carolina defensive player and basically said, hey, man, we want you to come play for us and transfer here into the portal. We'll pay you. Come down to SEC country and we'll make it happen. And it's so easy now to cheat without cheating. How dumb can you be to actually cheat and try to get caught? And the other part of this is
to slide in somebody's DMs.
Yeah, just slide into DMs. And the NCAA doesn't care. The NCAA is legitimately just not even going to do anything about it, it seems, to this point. So kudos to Mike Houston for submitting this team to the NCAA. But also, to me, you got to be a little smarter. I'm okay with tampering if you're going to do it legally. But how can you illegally tamper when it's so easy to do it legally, if that makes sense?
Right.
So that is my rant for today. How dumb can you be if you're going to cheat that way?
All right, Dom, I'll hold my soda for you because you are not old enough to drink beer. So go ahead.
That or hold my juice box. Either one works. But this is just
either one. Go ahead.
Completely random, but we found this in here. A place in Japan is selling a new ice cream fondue pizza with a crust bowl baked into the middle filled with vanilla ice cream for dipping. And I think the question is that the greatest innovation of the decade, or is that just completely gross?
What is the food again? Run it by me.
It's an ice cream fondue pizza, so it's a crust bowl baked in the middle with filled with vanilla ice cream for dipping, and it is $17. Comes with 2 even sweeter toppings you can dump on it with chocolate sauce and maple syrup.
Ooh, I don't know about the maple syrup, but chocolate sauce with vanilla ice cream, that dresses it up. Now, you're saying you take the crust and dip it in the fondue? Is that what you're doing? Is it a cinnamony crust or a sugary crust or just a crust?
No cinnamony on it. It doesn't say much about that. It just says dessert pizza. Or actually, it's not a dessert pizza. It's cheese, pepperoni, mushrooms with bread bowl in the center filled with Haagen-Dazs.
That's terrible.
Oh, yeah, that is
that's
terrible.
Not good. That's terrible. That is terrible. Igoe, terrible? Fair or foul with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for pizza and ice cream, but like when you start mixing it all together with some fondue and all that, it's just I think I lean more towards terrible, more so than going with it all together.
That's the sign the apocalypse is upon us, I believe. All right, Clark, what you got?
Man, that sounds delicious. Yeah. That sounds delicious. I can afford to eat something like that. I already have high cholesterol anyway. So. And you know what? You know what, Dom? I'm going to go with the same route you did because when I found this article, I thought this was the grossest thing ever. And I guess you can just turn anything into candy. So, Frenchies. You guys know Frenchies mustard, right?
Whoa, hold my beer. You got to say hold my beer. And then
hold my dang beer. Sorry, that was somebody else. Do mustard-flavored Skittles somehow sound good to any of you guys? If so,
no.
You can win. You can. Frenchies on Instagram posted what they look like, and the only way you can get a hold of a bag of Skittles that taste like mustard is by signing up to win. I thought that was dumb, and can you still put them on hot dogs?
That's not much incentive.
Yes.
It's not much incentive to sign up.
I feel like they're ruining candy.
Yeah. We're making too many flavors of things. Chips and candy. Too many flavors.
Yes, sir.
Too many flavors now.
That's right.
Stephen Igoe, Hoist the Colors, 247. The show comes back August 14th. 2 quick questions. Cam Hayes, what's the short version of his eligibility with basketball that you can tell us at least at this point?
So what we know at this point is he's an undergrad and he is transferring or has transferred for the second time. So in that case, he has to get a waiver from the NCAA to be immediately eligible. If you're a grad transfer, basically you can transfer and be eligible. But with him being an undergrad, the NCAA has put, or at least has said they're going to put pretty strict restrictions on the two-time transfer as undergrad. Of course, you get the free transfer the first time as part of the portal. But, they've submitted the waiver. They're about to. Right now, the NCAA is more focused on football. I think with Hayes, the vibe I get is they're not banking on him to be eligible is the way I would phrase it.
Right.
They're hopeful, but I don't think they're going to, plan to have Hayes eligible just in case he's ineligible. But the good news is he has a redshirt year available, so he has 2 years of eligibility remaining, even if he can't play this year.
I think he is important enough that he would be worth a spot in the standings. I think that, so it's a big deal if they do get him. Really quick, the women announcing they're going to host South Carolina, which will be a perennial, may even be in the top 5 by the time that game rolls around. That's a huge deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. And a great job by Kim McNeil getting Dawn Staley's club to come to Greenville. For those that aren't familiar with women's hoops, South Carolina has established itself as one of the best programs in the sport. They were undefeated last year until losing in the Elite Eight. They won the national championship the year before that. Now, they did lose their entire starting 5, but, they recruit essentially a top 5 class every year under Coach Staley, and they've added a bunch of big transfers. So they will be preseason top 10, probably top 5, at least by the time they play ECU. But, it's a critical game. ECU returning is top 5, and hopefully they have a chance to really keep it competitive and make it interesting inside Minji's.
Awesome to have you on, Igoe. I enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Have a great rest of your day.
I appreciate it, Patrick. You do a great job, man. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to being back August 14th with Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it'll be here noon every Monday through Friday with the one and only Stephen Igoe. We will come back and wrap up the show right after this.
We're back in minutes with more of the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
You should go have that tested.
Make sure to listen or watch now on the new IBX Media app. Get it now in the App Store or Google Play.
Hello, Eastern North Carolina. This is Matt Murchison here at Greenville Nissan. I'm along with Scotty Turner. Hey, buddy. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. And we're going to talk about the hot topic in the car business right now, and that's electric vehicles. Nissan's introduced a hot new item into this lineup, and that is the Nissan Aria. Scotty, amazing vehicle.
It is an amazing vehicle, and I remember when we got the first one in, you said, you go, take this, go for a test drive right now.
That's right.
And I did, and I was blown away how quick the takeoff speed was.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, they drive very well. They're very quiet. They have tons of power. And I think a lot of the big misconception is, well, how am I going to get it charged? Well, there's plenty of places to charge your vehicle today in East North Carolina, especially in Greenville. We have plenty for you to choose from. Matt, I mean, the biggest thing right now is the lease specials, too.
Yeah, got a great lease special on the Aria right now. Come check it out. Come take a time and test drive this vehicle. You will be very impressed. Check us out at GreenvilleNissan.com and Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
I'm with Lee Spain of Spain Telecom. Lee, how is the telephone system business?
The phone system business is constantly changing, and Spain Telecom has evolved over the years with the technology.
What do you do for businesses in Eastern North Carolina?
Spain Telecom provides great phone system products. We provide on-premise or voice over IP. We also sell used systems to save our clients money. We also provide excellent customer service, and we do all of the wiring ourselves.
Lee, what do businesses want today?
They're looking for someone they can trust, and we always stand behind our sales and service. Some are looking for options for an affordable basic phone system, and some are looking for the system to be able to connect to their employees' mobile phones and have all the latest technology. We sell and service all kinds of phone systems.
Call Lee Spain and Spain Telecom today, 252-353-2006. That's 252-353-2006 and online at spain-telecom.com.
Hey Miles, isn't it amazing to think our family has been distributing soft drinks since 1923?
It certainly is, Landon, and with that comes a lot of change. But what hasn't changed is our dedication and commitment to our customers. I'm Miles Menges.
And I'm Landon Menges with Menges Bottling Group. Our family has taken great pride in refreshing our neighbors, and we are proud to have remained locally owned and operated for over a century. From our family to yours, we say thank you and are honored to be a part of this wonderful community.
Here's to 100 as we celebrate our employees and our customers all over Eastern North Carolina. From generations before us and to future generations.
Cheers to the next.
All right, thanks to Stephen Igoe for being on with us today. Great to have him on. And also big thanks to Clark and Dom. We'll be back tomorrow in the morning. You'll see me on Talk of the Town and hear me there. And you'll see me and hear me back here at 5 o'clock on the Patrick Johnson Show tomorrow, where Brett Friedlander from Saturday Road and Brian Moll, Blue Ribbon Basketball, will be with us. Lots to talk about with those guys. Hey, stay cool out there and have a great rest of your evening.
The Pirates are coming. As we gear up for fall in ECU football, enjoy your summer. Stephen Igoe, Patrick Johnson, and the rest of the crew will be back in August as we get set to paint this purple and gold. 94.3 The Game.
Hot chicken, cold beer, live music. What's not to love about Nash Hot Chicken in the heart of downtown Greenville on 5th Street? Nash is open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week and stays open later on the weekends. So come try some of our award-winning chicken and southern fixins. Nash also features the best in local entertainment nightly. So head on over to eatatnash.com to check out the music schedule or order delivery or pickup. Nash, Greenville's best place for great food and entertainment.
At U.S. Cellular, you can get a new phone for $600 off, no trade-in needed, which means you don't have to trade in your old phone for a new one. That must sound really good to you, guy with a junk drawer.
I'm just going to sell it to my sister.
That's a twist.
Who am I kidding? It's going right in the junk drawer.